It wasn't until a Google search that I realized the author Horace Minor was not talking about a Native American tribe, but instead a critique on American life and our focus on our body. From the analysis I made last week on the author's focus of spiritual wording, when I found out this was all an elaborate way of making readers analyze our culture from an outside perspective, I thought it was genius. Again, the use of spiritual wording by the author made me realize that our body and health have become a mainstream obsession in American life. The article made me realize what other culture practices are considered weird to outsiders. I took to the internet and I found a list of American customs. The Penn State website I found is used as a way to welcome foreign students and help them adjust to the ways of American life. The way this was written for their intended audience helped put me in a mindset of someone unfamiliar with American mannerisms. That being said, the custom I want to focus on today is the way we use our first names and titles before our surname. This is in direct contrast with Eastern cultures who put their family name before titles. For example, an American professional will be Dr. Smith, while a Japanese doctor or professional would be referred to as Smith-san. This is a very tiny cultural difference that speaks volumes. Another one I'd like to highlight is the use of first names being more commonly used in everyday language in America. In places like Korea and Japan, using honorifics in place of a first name is still a very common lingual part of life. Unlike here in the U.S., the honorifics used in Eastern cultures happen every day, even when speaking to their families. The only time it is not used is if two speakers were on the same level or very close with one another. This small difference is important as it emphasizes American individualism, while Eastern customs of last name, family name before first name, or honorifics emphasize collectivism in their way of life. In the early stages of American life, I surmise that we used to speak more formally, unlike how we do today. Back in the day, landowners and those in power were often referred to titles such as Mr. or Mrs. It is hard to say why we have always placed Sir, Ma'am, Mr., Mrs. before the first name, yet it is likely just the structure of our language. I believe the change from a more formal way of speaking to an informal way of speaking in everyday life is a positive evolution. As Touro University describes formal language as less personal and very calculated, as informal speaking is described as spur of the moment and deeply personal. From these descriptions, the informal way of speaking used by most Americans lets them communicate and get their point across in a personal way, allowing for compassion and vulnerability in everyday conversations. This personal way of speech also allows for individualism, a concept that is highly valued in American society. While formal has its time and its place, I see no harm with more personal communication.